So, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the class of Operation Management. Now we are going to start new topic called facility location and layout. So, before we go further, guys, can you just mention like what you can understand from this term called facility location and layout? Any idea what this topic would be all about? Like with the word you can understand facility location. So, what is this facility by any chance? Any idea? Facility means the
They made this
manufacturing plant.
factory, yeah,
Mm,
manufacturing factory or
manufacturing.
something where
Yeah,
they
yeah, yeah.
produce the.
Where ultimately they will convert the raw material into finished good. So here we'll talk about the location. Like what is the relevance of the location of the plant wherever you are planning to manufacture your raw material into finished good, is the location matters, or if it matters, till what extent it matters. And we have also talk about the layout means basically when you plan like what component or what part of the process will be done where, and from there it will move to the other part, like the complete planning. Like once you have the location and all, you have the machines, everything ready to be placed, so you have a defined place. So if you talk about basically the picture about the setup, how that setup would be, that is what the facility location and layout. Okay, so like before we go further and talk about facility location layout, let's talk an example of a company called XYZ Limited, and let that XYZ Limited manufacture something, like they manufacture some units of something to create some finished good which they sell in the market. So this company XYZ Limited, they are thinking about few decisions. The first decision, they want to know the answer. Let this a manufacturing company called XYZ which is planning to come up with the manufacturing, and before they'll do manufacturing and all, they have some question in the mind. The first question is what to produce. Okay, so that is one of the biggest question which every company, which every 1 minute. So what to produce is one of the most what you say challenging question which every individual or every entrepreneur has to think without before setting up any kind of business idea. So what you are producing, does that what they're producing, does it make any sense or not? So basically in what to produce, that basically means to decide what product the company will make. Okay, so the company is thinking about what product they can make. It talks about the product what XYZ is going to manufacture. Okay, where the company has to understand their customer needs, like what features, quality, or benefits they want before the company think about what they're going to manufacture. They have to understand the what customer expect from what they will manufacture. So if the customer is expecting XYZ features in the product, and if you don't have those features, then definitely the customers will not be satisfied, and definitely that will impact the revenue model of the company. And we know that at the end of the day what matters is the competition. Okay, so company before they get this answer of what to produce, they have to understand what is the expectation of their customer. They should look at the competition and check if the product will be accepted in the market or not. So before the company think about manufacturing, they should think about the expectation of their customer. They should think about the competition and how they will able to scale up because of the competition in the market. And this decision is broadly based on the market research and the product design ideas. So like this term what we are talking about, what to produce and all here, we are not going to manufacture anything. We are just doing some research and all, and that research is the part of the quality function department, where they're thinking about the positioning of the product, what they manufacture, and how that product would satisfy the need of the consumer, and how, because of competition, they could able to scale up or level up that product in the mind of the consumer. The next question, definitely what the company can think about, how much to produce. Okay, this all we have discussed in the past. So how much to produce, basically, once the company knows that what to make, it need to decide how much to make. Okay, that depends on the customer demand, which you can estimate by different methods. We have studied demand forecasting, where we studied about qualitative methods. We discussed about quantitative methods. By using these methods and all, we could able to estimate the demand, and based upon what we estimate, maybe on daily basis or monthly basis or maybe yearly basis, we could able to get the information. And based on the information what we get, they would be set up the team called planning team and all. They can forecast the demand accordingly, and this is what we call as demand forecasting and all. Then the next question is where to produce. So where to produce, also we're going to discuss more about where to produce in the current session. So this question, where to produce, means deciding the location of the facility or the production facility, where uh, choosing the right place is the major decision, because it affects the cost, transportation, and delivery time. And this is known as the facility location selection problem. Okay, so where to produce is the question which we are going to answer, or which we're going to discuss in this class. Okay, where we are talking about facility location and layout. Okay, we'll discuss like these problems, and one by one, gradually, by understanding capacity planning, demand forecasting, we are trying to get the answer of these kind of problems. The next problem can be basically how to produce, where we'll discuss process selection and layout, when to produce, where we'll discuss aggregate planning, inventory, and master production schedule. Do we have material to produce? Where we'll talk about inventory management, we'll talk about sourcing, basically the team or the raw material provider is called the sourcing. So are we producing the right thing? Are our machines are able to produce the desired result? How to reach the product to the consumer? All that logistic, transportation, warehousing, all that we're gonna discuss. Reverse logistic, I hope you remember, we have discussed about reverse logistic also. Anyone give me idea what is reverse logistic? We have discussed in the previous sessions reverse logistics and all.
Sir, nothing but there will be a supply chain. So
Mm,
when the supply chain gets reversed, like if at all a customer wants to return some product, it
mhm.
will come back to the unit itself.
That is what you call as reverse logistic. Nowadays, we have something called sustainability department, recycling and all. Nowadays, company focus a lot on recycling. Okay, many times it happens like you talk about phones and all. Okay, so company want that like new thing. If the new phone has came, if maybe the iPhone 17 or something is being manufactured by the Apple. Now they know that when the customer will come to buy iPhone 17 and all, definitely those people would be having iPhone 16 or 15 or something. So if they can accept those older version and give some reward or some kind of discount on the new purchase, definitely that will attract the customers and all. So basically, we need to have a team, or the company need to have a set of departments which can talks about reverse logistics, sustainability development, all that. So then only this process of selling or marketing of any product what the company want to sell will become much more feasible, because nowadays marketing or selling is not only about selling the product and making revenue from the customer. It is much more beyond that, where these kind of concept like sustainability development or reverse logistic, all that thing comes into the picture. So already we have discussed about these points like product selection, deciding what product to make, location selection, facility location selection, which we are going to discuss in this class, where we talk about choosing where to set up the factory production or unit demand forecasting we have discussed, where we are talking about estimating how much product customer will need and based on that will manufacture. We have spoken about process selection and layout decision, where we'll decide like how the product will be made and how machines or workstations will be arranged. We have discussed capacity planning in the last class, where we discussed how much the production capacity is required, where we talked about efficiency, we talked about bottleneck, and we have terms like aggregate planning, master production schedule, where we can mathematically make an idea, or we can make a chart about the plan of the production, and then we can level up or timeline we can set, so that we can have an idea about how that is being done, and whenever any problems comes we can have an idea how the solution can be figured out. If we can create a layout of the basic production schedule, then we have terms like material requirement planning, manufacturing, distribution, enterprise resource planning, where we ensure material resources and systems are well coordinated. Then we have inventory management, where we are talking about managing the stock of raw material and finished good, supplier selection, sourcing, choosing the reliable supplier. Then we have process management. In process management, we'll manage the daily production process efficiently. Quality management, where we ensure that the product meet the quality standards. Then we have maintenance, where we keep machines and equipment in good working conditions. Then where we have warehousing or transportation, which manage the storage and delivery. We have reverse logistic, which handles the product return or recycling activities. So additionally, operation managers also take care of the working capital management, which is based on the current asset minus current liability, which is all about how they can manage the day-to-day expenses of working on liquidity management of the company. And then we can have other departments like Salesforce department and all. Basically, we are talking about skill development, so that the employees should get appropriate training on every intervals of the time. Then talking about definition of facility and facility location decision. Okay, so in simple term, what do you mean by facility? In simple term, facility means any setup. Okay, any setup that the organization uses to make their product or deliver their services. For example, facility can be office, it can be factory, it can be warehouse. Okay, talking about the term called location. Location means the geographical place where your facility will be established, that we called as location. So a facility location decision means deciding where to set up the facility. Okay, and the question what we are trying to get the answer is that where we'll set up our plant. And before we talk about where we can set up a plant, we can talk about the need of an appropriate facility location. So what factors or what parameters or what terms we can look into before deciding where we can set up our facility location. Okay, that can be the very one of the big challenging question what the company has to think, where we are talking of starting or expanding business. Like whenever a company begins a new venture or increases the production, it must decide where to set up. Okay, and sometimes the businesses shift location due to problems like lack of resources or expired land lease on agreement or political, social or legal issues, economic or cultural problem. They can be enough reasons what the companies can have, because of which they can either look to relocate to new place, or either they look to start the new operations and all. So basically, like places like Bangalore and around Bangalore, where many business hubs flourish, they develop. Bangalore is the startup capital. There are a lot of reasons why Bangalore is the startup capital. Because of government reasons, because the kind of support government gives, because of the kind of banking environment what we have. in and around which support the entrepreneurship skills in Bangalore. Then we have like other regions, proximity, closeness to seaport, closeness to international centers. All that can be the enough reasons which can create enough reasons for setting up the facility. Like that, whenever any company want to start up new business, or they may want to expand their existing business, they try to get into new location, or maybe because of certain reasons, many time company changes their places, okay, from one part of India to the other part of India, or from one part of world to the other part of the world. It can be maybe the reason that because of maybe the government or locals, if they can be issue sometime because of many manufacturing companies, they wanted to set up their plant in Orissa and other part of India, because of the opposition of the locals, because they might think that this might affect the environment, so they could not able to do it. The same thing happened with Tata when they wanted to set up their plant for nano production in Singur in West Bengal. Because of the opposition of the locals, they could not do it, and then they had to move to Gujarat to set up their plant. So there can be enough reasons, and all that reasons ultimately gives lot of idea to any kind of organization whenever they think about standing, or they're thinking to start the new location. So facility location basically means deciding where they can set up their facility. Okay, and in order to decide where they can set up the facilities, they have to work around, and they have to see the problems or challenges what they can get. Okay, those challenges what they try to figure out, those challenges can be because of the resources, those challenges they can face because of the political, social or legal issues. They can face challenges because of economic or cultural problems. They can have n number of challenges whenever the company think about setting up the new plant. They have to also consider the cost parameters. Certain regions are considered to be cheaper, and definitely that way that will attract the companies for their establishment purpose. Then it can be other reasons, can be proximity or closeness to the market or the resources. Okay, so that will also again give the reason to the company. The other reasons can be easy and hassle free transport facility. So, in short, a good facility location is the one that enables the organization to strike the balance between the cost about the production service, and intent to maximize their service quality while minimizing the cost of in every possible manner, and thereby it gives them proximity or closeness to the market, okay, or raw material, or more visibility in the market. And that way definitely anyone who want to set up the plant, definitely they'll attract to these kind of parameters. The parameters can be sourcing basically talks about the availability of raw material, availability of resources like energy, water, and internet connectivity, suppliers who can supply them raw material, and a connectivity to alternate vendors who can be useful to the company if the primary vendor does not provide them the required raw material. It can be cross docking or using milk van, which help in efficient good movement and inventory control. So basically when we talk about the factors which affect the location selection decision, that factor can be either your sourcing factor, it can be market factor. Market factor basically means closeness to the market, so that they can deliver the good closely to the customer. And if the market can connect to the wider geographical area, and that way it would be easier for the company to sell their product. And if they can connect with more customer base, if it take lesser time to reach the market, all that is self-explanatory point. Then the other parameters can be cost can be transportation cost, leasing or renting cost, taxes, duties, hidden costs like permits, logistic delay. All that can be the another parameter which can affect your decision of facility location. Okay, the other reason can be socio-cultural, community and political issues. where you need, where definitely wherever we want to set up our company, we want supportive community. The locals should cooperate with the business. Okay, the cultural compatibility is requires that language should not be the issue of communication with the management, with the workforce. Then and any kind of area which have less crime or disturbance, definitely anyone want. And a good quality of life of employees is what management expect. And the medical and safety facilities, legal and regulatory facilities, that these are the other reasons what the company definitely can look for. Apart from that, company look for skilled labors, and where the skilled labor sourcing can be done. And again, we have a competition, and because of competition, definitely whenever any company want to bring their product in the market, they might face challenges where they could not able to survive, or their competitors or counterfeiter can give big competition for them to sell their product in the market. So definitely competition is another parameters which the company definitely look for in the market. Other reasons can be, what the company can look for is the extra
Sir,
space for their growth and
sir,
layout. Sorry,
sir, what is proximity?
proximity means closeness,
No,
closeness to the
what?
market. Like if you are selling your product, you if you are setting up your manufacturing plant, so you don't want to set up very far away and all. So imagine once your finished good is ready, if it take lot of time to reach the end consumer and all, definitely that would increase your logistic or supply chain management cost and all. So if the many times what the company think about manufacturing is to be more closer to the end consumer. If you are more closer to the end consumer, definitely it would be easier for you to do your business or to generate revenue. But again, if you try to reach more closer to your consumer and all, then definitely that will increase your cost of production, in the sense that the labor cost, or maybe the land cost or renting or leasing cost would be very high. So to maintain a appropriate distance from the end consumer, uh, taking a trade-off between the cost and the customer satisfaction is what many companies want. They don't want to too much far away from the end consumer. At the same time, they don't want to too much close to the end consumer, because if you are trying to reach more closer, then the cost of production will increase. Because if you are trying to set up very closer to the, what you say, the real market and all, definitely that would be increase your cost and all. So that is again a concern factor which the company definitely has to look upon. Other parameters can be the space layout. If like setting up the plant within the city periphery, that will definitely would increase the costing of the companies and all. Okay, although that can affect your transportation also, but at the same time, company has to look upon how they can reduce their direct and indirect cost. That can be based on logistics. Then sometimes environment can be also the issue. Okay, you want support from community, logistic and supply chain management, all that the company has to look upon whenever they want to set up their company. Okay, so some of the pop will talk about the approaches, like we'll talk about the approaches here for the facility location selection. Okay, and for that we'll talk about these methods, like factor rating method. Okay, factor rating method, basically it's about giving scores or weight to different factors and calculate the total to find the best location. So there's one method called factor rating method, like through which we can score mathematically, we can figure out like the location in which we are setting up the plant, how convincing is that location. So for one method to do that calculation is the factor rating method. Another approach is center of gravity technique, which is used to find which is used to find central location that minimize the transportation cost. Okay, center of gravity technique basically is talking about like where exactly is the best place, and from that best place, wherever you transport, the your cost of transportation would be minimal. So this method will help us to figure out the best place or the central location. And if your company is closer to that central location, definitely your cost of production of transportation will also be minimal. Transportation model is there where we use this model to find when goods has to be shipped to multiple destination effectively. There's one technique called traveling salesman problem that used to teach in operation research and all. So there are a lot of mathematical techniques are there through which you can figure out the facility location, and like mathematical way how you can see that is better place and all. Then you have optimization or heuristic model which use mathematical or computer based model to find the best possible location. So let take in one example, like to understand this, like factor rating method or something like that. So suppose there's a e-commerce company is there. They want to open a central order fulfillment center in Kolkata South in West Bengal. The possible location are say L1, L2, L3. So like there's a one e-commerce company is there and they want to start their operation in Kolkata, and they have three locations out of L1, L2, L3. Anywhere they can start their plant. Okay, and then the company forms a group of expert. Okay, what these expert did, they identified six factors. Those six factors they've written as F1, F2, F3, F4 to evaluate L2 to L1 to L3. So here they have given some kind of parameters, like their set of experts are there. There's the e-commerce companies there. They want to set up their plus center in Kolkata, and then they have three locations, and then these locations they have three location L1, L2, L3. And then what they did, they form a expert which considers six factors to evaluate these locations. And the method what they're gonna use is factor rating method. Okay, now what these experts did, they decide what factors are important and they given weight to each of these factors. For example, they might rate each factor from the scale 1 to 5. Okay, 1 means least important and 5 means the most important. And these rating ultimately help us to decide that out of L1, L2, L3, which is the best location. Okay, so this is just a mathematical calculation, like that which we called as factor rating method. Like this, we have other methods also. So right now we are talking factor rating method, and by using this factor rating method, we can ultimately analyze out of three location which location is better location, and for each locations we have considered six factors. Okay, F1, F2, F3, F4, F5, F6. Okay, and then there's a weight is given for each factor. Okay, you can see total weight should be 1. So if here they have considered four factors, although they written the six, they're considering four factors, and you can see the total of these factor weights is equal to 1. Okay, and then what they did, they analyzed these three locations and they gave them factors. Okay, they gave them rating based on this factor, where here like 1 means least beneficial and 10 means the most beneficial. And then if you see this table is giving you that idea that three locations are being judged by these experts, giving them four factors, F1, F2, F3, F4, and then they have given weight to each factor also. This is the weight given to the each factors. Okay, and then uh, for each location there's values given from 1 to 10. Okay, and then for each factor there's a weight is also attached is there for each factor. Okay, the rating is given from 1 to 10 by the experts, and then for each factor there's a weight is also attached. Okay, and then what we have done, we have just we did some product of the weight with the rating what they have given, and then with that you can figure out of the locations, which is the best location. It's just an give idea, just an idea given to you. So which location has the maximum value, that location is considered the best location. So then what they did, they just calculate the weightage score, the rating with the weight for each location that is done. And the location which got the best highest value, that is considered as the best location. Again, you can see another example, that there's a suppose there's a company called XYZ. They want to open a retail shop in Kolkata, and then they got four location, L1, L2, L3, L4. Okay, and then what they got, they calculated the volume, what they're gonna manufacture. Okay, and then there's a coordinate is given of the location, latitude and longitude. Okay, and the volume, average number of customer in a day. So for each location, how many customers can come in a day, that is given to you. And then this method is this method what they have mentioned here is a center of gravity method. By using center of gravity method, you have to figure out the best location. So the two locations, like for these four locations, their coordinates are given, x and y, and the volume is given. So for each location, what they have done, they calculated the volume with the coordinate, they multiplied the some product of the volume with the coordinate, 200 into 30, 200 into 100, 100 into 90, 100 into 120, 100 into 130, 100 into 130, 200 into 60, 200 into 40. The sum product is done, and that value what you get, the sum product, okay, for each of this is being calculated. Okay, so now the sum total of volume here was 600. The sum of the volume was 600, and the sum product of volume with the coordinates here you got was 40,000. Here you got 53,000. So what they did, they just divided this 40,000 by the 600. They divided here 53,000 by the 600, and this gave them the value. Okay, so whatever the value they got, that given them an idea about which is the better as per the center of gravity method. So if you see here, out of x and y, okay, if you see the coordinate x and y, which is a better coordinate based on x and y, you can see the value of y is bigger than the value of x. So this is called center of gravity method, and this was called factor rating method. These are bacha kind of problems. So these are just a method, like you have to remember the name of the method, whatever the method names are given, either it's factor rating method or center of gravity method or transportation method or optimization and heuristic methods. By using these methods, we can rate the locations, like whatever the locations we have, we can rate these locations to find out which location is better than the other location. Okay, and this is just an qualitative techniques. There's nothing mathematical there in these techniques and all. Okay. Then talking about the layout or the plant layout. So facility layout or plant layout is also known as the layout of facility, which refers to the configuration of departments, work centers, equipment and machineries with the focus on the flow of material or work through the production system. So when we talk about facility layout, we are talking about planning how different parts of the factory, like machines, department, equipments, work area, they all would be arranged inside the building. That is what we discuss under the facility layout, where the goal is to make sure that the flow of material, worker, information is smooth and efficient. So in simple word, it is about deciding where to place your machines, worker, tools, departments, so that the work happens easily, safely, and quickly. That is the objective of facility layout. And basically, when we understand a layout planning includes deciding where to place your machines, workstations, storage areas, offices, and service areas like restroom, lunch room, etc., so that we can have a better planning of the movement of material and people inside the facility, and then that can ensure that all department space are used effectively. So the aim is to help the workers and machines so that they can work together efficiently and reduce time and cost of the company. Okay, so the question what we can ask in layout planning, can we basically the organization should ask these kind of questions uh, basically whenever they talk about the layout planning. Okay, those questions can be basically how much space and capacity does each center need. Okay, then how should each center space is to be configured. Then it can be what centers should the layout includes, then where should each center be located. So basically we are talking about this some questions which the company should ask to themselves while working on the layout planning. Those questions can be basically about the space and capacity which each area is needed, is basically talks about how each area or workstation would be arranged. Okay, is basically talking about what department or section to be included, and then where should each department or section is to be located. Okay, so when we are trying to work on the dimension of the center, it can be two kinds of dimensions we are talking about. One is absolute location, where the exact space that the section occupies in the facility is discussed. Then it can be based on relative location, which is about how close or far one section is from the other another, which is based on decided based on smooth material flow, where we are talking about the dimension of the center what we have. Okay, so now when we talk about the importance of layout decision. So the need for the layout planning arises because because both the process of designing new plant and redesigning the existing plant, whenever it is being worked on, there the layout play very important role, because layout is one of the key decisions that determine the long run efficiency in the operations. Okay, layout basically have many strategic implication because establishes an organization competitive priorities in regard to their capacity, process, flexibility, cost, as well as the quality of work life, customers, connections, and image in the case of service organization. And then if we have an effective layout that help the organization to achieve strategic advantage that support differentiation, low cost for fast response or flexibility. And if we have well designed layout, it basically provide an economic layout that meet the firm competitive requirement. So that's why layout plays very important role. It basically improve economic efficiency and meet the customer goal and requirement. And whenever we are talking about the layout planning and all, we need to also certain time has to consider redesigning the layout. And what can be the reason of redesigning layout? It can be accident, health hazards, and low safety measures. If we feel that many problems which need to be addressed, if those problems are not addressed while working on the layout planning, then such problems should be addressed, and for that again the planning is required. And if we feel that there is any scope of accident or health hazards or low safety, then the layout has to be worked again. If we feel that the layout is affecting the environmental or legal requirement, then again it need to be reworked. Either if we feel that there's need to be change in process or method, equipment, change in product design, service design, change in volume of output or input, or product mix changes, inefficient operations. And if we feel that that the layout is actually affecting the morale or the confidence or motivation of the employees, or if we feel that we are coming with the new product or service and that require a new way of layout, then again the layout need to be worked on. So when we talk about good plant layout, so when we are talking about good plant layout, then there we need to think about the objectives, what the layout can solve. Because when we have a good plant layout that aims to make the best use of space, machines, and workers to achieve smooth and efficient production, where the main objectives, what we are trying to find the answer for that, that can answer the questions of efficient use of labor. Okay, because in a defined time, we have to achieve our production. Okay, because the time of utilization of labor, it cannot be infinite and all, so we have to make sure that idle time for worker and machine should be minimized. We are talking about a higher flexibility, which should be modified whenever it's needed. We are talking about better use of space and equipment, so that wastage of space or resources, those can be avoided. We are talking about improving the employee morale and safety, so that we can have a comfortable and safe work environment for the employee. Okay, we need to make sure that the materials and employees should be available without any delays. Sourcing is very important. Okay, we are talking about how we can enable more output with the using available resources. Okay, the good plant layout talk about issues like congestion or bottlenecks, and how the overcrowding and slowdowns in workflows, they can be avoided, how the accidents and health hazards can be avoided, so that we can have a safe workplace environment. Okay, we in the good plant layout talking about machines and facilities, which should be easy to access and repair. We want to create a better communication, coordination between team, so that they need to have a what you say face to face communication whenever needed, and these all will improve productivity. This all will provide ease of supervision, so that they need to have product flexibility and volume flexibility. Okay, so that all the efficient spaces and other technologies, the coordination should be arranged, and then everything should be managed effectively. Talking about the choice of layout, so when we talk about selecting the right layout, it helps the organization to clearly plan how to manage the operation, and how it will run, and how they will stay competitive. Where whenever we talk about layout, a layout choice basically help the company to have a smooth flow of material and information. Thereby it improve communication between departments, it boosts employee morale through a better workplace, it increases customer satisfaction. Okay, where the labors and equipments can be used effectively, and then it can reduces the risk or hazards of worker. And the type of operations, either we are talking about manufacturing or services, that determines what layout basically suits them. Okay, that type of layout. So what can be the factors, or what can be the questions we need to consider while discussing the layout and all, where we need to think about uh, parameters like like should the layout be designed for the current need or for the future growth. That can be one question that management should consider, like should they think about present, or they should talk about the future. Should it be a single story or multi-story building? Okay, because with each stories and all, you need to incur more capital expenditure or more cost of production, not cost of production, initial cost of setup of everything. So that also the parameters they need to think about, what type of layout they should use. Like should they use process layout or product layout, or what kind of layout they can use. Talking about what performance goal which is more important for them, should they think about the present current needs, or they should they think about the future need, should they think about cost, speed, flexibility, all that should be considered, where the parameters like location, machineries and equipment, managerial policies, material, product, all these factors should be considered by the company. Okay, they should think about the relationship between material, machines, people, like which we call 3M, material, machines, okay, people, where the factors like type of product, type of worker, type of industry, management processes, all that need to be think about. Okay, when we talk about location and all, the size and the type influences the kind of building, single story or multi-story. The location of the plant decides how the material will be brought in by road, rail, or ship, where the layout should also provide space for raw material and fuel storage, future expansion opportunities, power generation needs. Okay, like for example, if we talk about steel plant, they need a large single story space near the transportation route, while the software offices can be built on a multi-story building. So locations, we try to answer these questions like the size of the site, the type of the building, is that can be single story or that can be multi-story. Firms and all those would be multi-story, but when you talk about the steel company and all, they would be single story. The location, okay, the layout, the power generation, there are many questions are there that need to be answered. We can talk about machineries and equipment, which depends on the type of and volume of the production. The choice of machines, their sizes and arrangement depends on the production process, automation level, technologies used by management. Okay, like suppose a car factory need large, heavy machines arranged in sequence. A bakery need smaller, specialized machines which is placed for easy access. Okay, so it depends like what kind of setup we are engaging ourselves. The problems or the issues which need to be addressed can be managerial policies. Okay, where the management decide, and there where the management decisions, they affect the layout design, such as how much to produce, whether to expand in the future, use of automation, whether to make or buy component, speed of delivery to the customers, purchasing inventory and other personal policies. So that can be the other parameters what the company should think about. Then we can talk about materials, where the layout must include space for raw material, component and supplies, where they depends on the type of material. Either it can be solid, liquid, gas, it can be light or heavy, it can be bulk or small items, where the proper areas of storage, racks, conveyor and handling equipment that need to be included here. So that those parameters we discuss under the materials. Then when we talk about product, so in product we are talking about the layout and how the layout depends on the type and nature of product. It can be heavy or light, it can be big or small, it can be light or solid. For example, shipbuilding or aircraft assembly, they need large space and spatial arrangement, while a soft drink company manufacturing, they need very small space with continuous flow production. So it depends, guys. Like the product matters a lot. So the layout depends on basically the type and the nature of the product what we are going to manufacture. The product what we're going to manufacture, is that the product is heavy or light, is the product is big or small, is the product is liquid or solid, all that thing matters here. Then when we talk about the type of industries, here in the type of industries we are talking about four types of industries. Either they can be synthetic, they can be analytical, they can be conditioning, or they can be either extractive. Okay, we'll talk about the types of industries tomorrow and all. So before that, let summarize what all we have discussed in today's class. So in today's class, basically we have discussed about facility, location and layout. Okay, you have any doubt, any question you have? when it comes to the facility location and layout. Anyone, can you summarize what we have discussed? Anyone, can you summarize what all we have discussed?
Sir, shall I try?
Yeah, please try.
Okay. So first, we understood what is facility.
Huh.
It is nothing but a manufacturing unit or a factory where we convert raw materials into finished goods.
Hmm,
Then we saw what is facility location.
hmm,
So it is a place or a setup where we establish that organization
hmm,
or the factory to run
hmm.
its operations to produce the required products or
Correct, correct.
services to the
Hmm,
customers.
hmm,
And then we saw why we need a facility location. I mean,
hmm,
why we need that. So if at all we are starting a new business or thinking to expand business into a new market, we will need to expand the facilities. So we need that. Or if at all we are increasing the production, in that case also we need a facility location.
hmm,
And then we saw benefits of good facility location.
hmm,
So they save cost. A good location can reduce fixed cost, variable cost, or maybe some even transportation cost. And next, proximity to market and source. It is nothing but um, it can be closer to markets like maybe ports or sources of raw materials or to the suppliers or customers.
hmm,
Next is um, also the transportation of both raw materials and finished goods become easier
hmm.
as it can be served more quickly to customers. It improves the supply chain as well.
Correct.
And then we saw um, factors affecting location selection decision.
Hmm,
First one was sourcing. Sourcing, we see availability of raw materials or availability of natural resources. As the name itself tells that uh, where and all we need to source. Then we need internet connectivity as well, and we should have key customers. We need to have good access to the main customers or the vendors. And opportunity to cross docking, this one I didn't understand, sir.
which one?
Opportunity to cross docking and utilizing milk vents.
Operation or opportunity to cross
Opportunity
docking.
to cross docking and utilizing milk vents.
Basically talking about the supply chain management, the logistic management, like once your end product is ready, how efficiently you are transporting to the end consumer or the vendors who are gonna sell your product, what kind of mechanisms you are following. Like imagine Nandini is there. So Nandini, every day when the production of the milk happens, and they cannot store the milk, they have to make sure that the milk should reach to the end consumer. And to reach to the end consumer, like like whenever the end consumer get up in the morning, first thing in the day, when we get up and all, whenever we start cooking, the one of the first thing which we normally any family uses is the milk. So how the milk manufacturer would make sure that the end consumer, when they get up, they get the milk. And that means that the whole logistic management of milk transportation is done during night time. So around 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and all, those milk, like bigger outlets, the like packets and all, they reach to the vendors or the shopkeepers, who then gives milk to you and me whenever we go and buy them, or they themselves used to give to our home before we get up in the morning, because that cannot be done in basically in broad daylight and all. So the like what matters is not the end consumer, the end product what you're manufacturing, how satisfying is that product to the end consumer. That is very important. But beyond that, what matters is that to get the right product at the right time and at the least cost. That is what something we are studying from chapter 1. So resource utilization, minimization of cost. So all that is possible because of the logistic and supply chain management. If we don't have appropriate good logistic and supply chain management, then creating very good product also would be worthless. Like if you know about product like Lycius or Fresh to Eat, they supply non-veg products and all. So what the end consumer want when they get the non-veg product is the freshness. So how will you make sure that would be there? So every kind of industry, what we have, every kind of industry, they have their own challenges when it comes to logistic and supply chain management, and how they address those challenges, that is something which they need to look upon. I hope you understood.
Yes, sir, but what does cross docking actually mean?
Docking means like, cross docking basically means when you are trying to transfer one unit which is being manufactured to the other unit, and then from other unit is being transferred to the third unit. Like, it sometime it can happen, no, your manufacturing is not happening within a given facility. It might happen that manufacturing is happening in different facilities. And how you can make sure that cross docking means, when the one part is manufactured, it is given to other part, they assemble both the part, it is given to the third part. Like when you talk about iPhones and all, the iPhones, the components of iPhones, or you laptop or any kind of electronics company, the components come from China. Those components which come from China is being assembled in India, and once those are components assembled in India, is being sold in Western or European market and all. So cross docking here basically means, basically the integration between different departments who are manufacturing different parts, sub parts of the main component, and then how you can integrate everything together so that your end product is ready to be sold in the market.
Okay, sir.
Huh.
Next is market, proximity to market. As said, the facility should be located near to its customers or market so that the product can be delivered quickly, easily, and safely. Next
Hmm.
is coverage of wide geographical area. A location be should serve a larger region so that
Hmm.
it can reduce its cost and also maintain proximity. Next
Hmm.
is connectivity with large customer base. They should have a good access, like in sourcing, we told now that they should have connectivity with suppliers and
Hmm.
customers as well.
Correct.
So should have a large customer base so that they can concentrate in that area. Then lesser time to market. It As it's near, as there is proximity, so it takes lesser time to deliver the products.
Hmm.
Next is cost. Transportation cost will be less,
Hmm.
and rental cost uh, lesser or rental cost. So the facility should be located in such an area where the rent or the lease expenses are low. Tax and other duties, in that area, the government tax or policy should be favorable to the facility.
Hmm.
Hidden cost. What are the hidden costs, sir? Actually,
Hidden costs, they are miscellaneous, which you cannot account in the initial phase and all, but those would be the part of your process. Means like, suppose if I'm teaching you also, so there would be a cost which I'm paying, which you are paying. So the cost can be maybe, instead of giving time to a family, you are giving time to me. You understand the hidden cost? There are certain costs which cannot be accounted directly, but that those would be the part of your manufacturing. Like it can be the internet. Okay, it can be maybe the opportunity cost. Instead of listening to this lecture, you would be maybe, could have done watch the movie or so whatever. So there are many times whenever we calculate the cost is direct or indirect. But in these direct or indirect cost calculation, there are also many forms of cost which may or may not we could able to account for. Or maybe if we account also, we which we may not realize gradually. So those can be the hidden cost.
Okay, sir. And then we saw socio-cultural community and political issues.
Hmm,
Uh, there should be a supportive community where people should be welcoming the business and supporting the business. And familiarity with language. The company should know the language so that they can converse properly with the culture and the community over there, so that they can connect with the emotions. They can use that also as a one of their marketing strategies.
hmm,
And level of crime and other disturbances, the facility should be located in such a area where there is no or like minimal crime activities or disturbances
hmm,
to avoid unnecessary things. Availability of prospective employees, they should have sufficient employees, skilled employees, and quality of life. The area should provide good standard of living to the employees or whoever are working in that facility.
hmm,
And uh, statutory and regulatory rules and regulations. So the government rules and regulations should be supportive to the facility.
hmm,
Medical facilities, all the police services should be available in emergency cases. And other things are environmental concerns. They should follow the environmental areas. They should see sustainable development goals and all those things.
hmm,
And availability of skilled laborers. They should have a skilled and a potential workforce
hmm.
so that they can work efficiently and effectively. Competitive pressure. Um, the company should also have a good competition, and they should come through all the level of competition. In such kind of area, they should choose a location.
Correct, correct.
And next we saw what uh, uh, popular approaches. We saw four approaches, and we saw some example of factor rating method and center of gravity technique as well.
Hmm.
The next two we didn't see, I guess.
We just two methods. There basically four methods they have given, but we
Yeah.
focused on basically the two methods, center of gravity method and factor rating methods. We have focused. We had the other method like optimization and heuristic model, transportation model. Those examples are not given here in the book.
Yes, sir. And
Will we get
after that,
questions from these methods, or these are only for
No, no, no,
students?
just for basic understanding. This like the questions are not worth only.
Okay, sir.
Simple example they have given. Huh. Tell me.
next we came for facility layout. Nothing but it is deciding where to place the materials or departments or flow of materials or the work, like what and all should happen throughout the production.
Hmm.
The goal is to like we came across few questions like how much space and capacity does each center need. If at all we are choosing a facility layout, we have to make sure that these all criteria or questions are being answered.
Hmm.
um, how should each center space be configured? um, Sir, what do you mean by configured?
Configured means configuration means assembling, means how you
Okay.
can coordinate, or like I like how will you take the class. If somebody asks me how you are taking the class of operation management, so I'll say there's a WhatsApp group where I send message, then I'll get the students. How you are getting the student? I'm not getting the students. Sudhakar is getting the students. Sudhakar is giving those students to me. Then I have Zoom. That Zoom I have taken subscription. Then I take a like I schedule one class, then I post in the YouTube, sorry, in WhatsApp group, then the student connect with that, and then we are able to do configuration. Means when you have everything like X Y ABC everything ready, if you try to put them together so that the product become alive, that is what configuration. Now the laptop through which I'm teaching you, so all the components of the laptop are not manufactured in one manufacturing plant. Semiconductors were manufactured in Taiwan. The battery is manufactured in China, some other part was manufactured in some other part. I hope you are getting. Then in one
Yes,
location everyone is put in place, and then the laptop is being made alive.
yes, sir. And other two are what center should the layout include and where should each center be located. So before setting a facility layout, these questions should be taken into consideration.
Hmm.
Next, we saw dimensions of location of a center, which
Hmm.
is absolute location. In this specific space of a center, we talk about the specific space of a center. In
Hmm.
relative location, we talk about how the uh, like how the center is placed with the relation to other centers.
Hmm.
Next is we saw the importance of layout decisions. So in this, we read that layout is one of the key decisions which is needed for the long run efficiency in operations.
Hmm.
It has strategic implications because it sets organizations' competitive priorities.
Hmm.
And then an effective layout can help organization to achieve its goals and reduce its costs and become flexible to the situations. It also provides economic layout that will meet firms' competitive requirement in future for future growth. Next, we saw why we need to redesign the layout because of the following reasons. Accident and health hazards. So, as it says, if at all there are risk or some threat to the condition of plant or employees or anything of the facility, we will
Hmm.
need to redesign the layout. Changes in legal or environmental requirements. If at all there are any changes in laws or if at all there are unexpected environmental changes, we might need to change or redesign the layout. Next, changes in process, methods, or equipment. In this, if at all we need any changes in process or methods in maybe calculating or deciding something, we will change the layout. Changes in product design or service design. This will also, depending on the what product we are changing, we need to change the layout. Changes in volume of output or product mix changes. This happens when we need to increase or decrease the uh, different products. Like if at all we want to increase the production or decrease the production, or if we want to get the variances of a product, that time we might need to redesign the layout. Inefficient operations. If at all there are any situations like bottleneck situations, we might need to redesign. Introduction to new products, like said, if you're adding a new line of products or introducing new products, we might need to redesign. A low employee moral, if at all employees are unhappy or they're not working efficiently, we might need to, or if at all it's due to the layout, then we might need to redesign it.
Correct, correct.
Now, good plant layout, objectives of a good plant layout.
Hmm.
So, good plant layouts, um, efficient utilization of labor, reduce idle time of the labor and equipment. Uh, okay, this says that efficient use of labor will reduce the idle time and it also saves resources and cost. Next, it says higher flexibility means it is easy to change the setup whenever it's needed. So, better use of space, higher utilization of space. In this, we can use the space more efficiently and effectively. And uh, employees' moral and safety give a better work environment, better flow, improved flow of materials, information, and people. In this, it means if at all there are efficient or improved flow of materials, it is easier to move the things quickly and easily. Next, improved production capacity. It increases the production capacity, which we can produce more. Reduce health hazards and accidents. Means it means safe workplace. Easier maintenance. Um, Next, better coordination, and as so it provides ease of supervision. to provide product flexibility and volume flexibility to utilize available space efficiently and effectively. I mean, there are no wastage areas and all these things we came across today.
Correct, correct. Okay, guys, I'll see you that tomorrow morning. This much we have done today. Okay, so these are very basic, self-explanatory topics which you can do by yourself also. Okay, once you have an idea, basic idea, if you read, only thing in the exam is that few terms and all, if you remember, you can easily answer the questions.